It's like playing on the computer a certain piece of software. We call it genetic inheritance and all that stuff. And from that we get what we call personality. We get all the other genetic traits, and we think they're who we are. It's a software program. Cultures, different cultures, they're software programs. Nothing wrong with them. Love them, experience them. Illusions only control you when you think they're real. When you know they're illusions, play with them, have a laugh. But they're software programs. We're not human. That's our experience. It's not who we are. Even my body's the same. Even mine. Lost a bit of weight, you know. Been off the booze for 3 months, that's why. This is an article in the San Francisco Chronicle. DNA is a universal software code. From bacteria to humans, the basic instructions for life are written with the same language. Even the cutting edge of mainstream science is now beginning to turn its mind to the fact that this is computer, and this may well be a illusory, almost computer game. If you look at the codes that make up DNA, A, C, G and T, or in my case, G and T, G and T, G and T. Oh, no, give it up. I gave it up 3 months ago, sorry. These 4 codes, depending on where they are in relationship to each other, decide so many things. They decide if your body's a mouse or if it's a human. And the difference in the coding compared with the difference in how it expresses itself in the different physical form is minimal. And if you look at those codes in the Matrix movies, very, very similar, because the principle of that movie is correct. On one level, we are a digital, energetic construct operating beyond human sight. And the reason now they're talking about what they call human-computer interface, where they can get the computer to be worked by the brain without any movement of the hands, is very, very simple. They're connecting 2 computers. One immensely, staggeringly more advanced than the other, but still the basically same principle. What they don't tell us is that's how it is. When you look at the human body from a point of view of a computer, it ticks almost every box. Well, it does tick every box I've come across so far. When the computer has a virus and it gets out of control and eventually it won't switch on, what do we say? My computer's dead. Why? Because it cannot connect to its energy source. What do we say when people die? We say the body's dead, the computer's dead, the energy source is left, that's why. We talk about putting computers into sleep mode where they just tick over and slow down and shut down to a very large extent. So do we. Then we've got Norton antivirus and all these other antivirus technologies. And what do? They are programmed to attack viruses and threats to the body, to the PC computer, desktop computer's functional system. We've got a Norton antivirus, we call it the human immune system. Does the same basic principle, because it's a computer. This is a picture, an enhanced version of a picture taken at the Necker Hospital in a research process in Paris. And this is a motherboard. That is the motherboard of the body computer. And that's the system, the meridian system, the circuit board, that acupuncture and other alternative forms of healing work on. Why? Because this chi energy, as the Chinese call it, going around the body and these lines, is information passing around the computer, just like information passes around the desktop computer. And they found in their experiments that when this energy is moving too slowly compared to optimum, the body starts to show signs of dis-ease and disharmony. Why? Because the information going around the body and being processed is being processed too slowly for optimum health. What do we say when we've got a virus in our computer on the desk? My computer's bloody slow today. Same thing. And the acupuncture needles and other forms of Chinese acupuncture healing are there to reharmonize the flow of this energy so the information's passing around to optimum and we become well again. Then you've got the brain. The so-called brain of the computer, as they call it, is the central processing unit, the CPU. The brain of the body is the CPU of the body computer. It's the main processor of information, receiving and sending out. And it's decoding information all the time, and therefore creating our reality. The DNA and the genetic structure is like the hard drive. And the hard drive is passed on through what we call procreation, which is like on a computer level, two hard drives fusing to create another hard drive, which is a combination of the two. And together, the genetic structure and the auric field make up body consciousness, which has an awareness of its own and can function in this world pretty well, even without connection to out there. Pretty well, I mean, it can survive. But it's a manipulator's bloody dream. All these things we call cultures and races and people and personalities, they're software programs. This is a guy called William Sheridan. He was in a New York hospital waiting for a heart transplant, and he went on an art therapy course. And he's meeting the mother of the person who donated his heart there. This was his art when he went on the course. He then had the heart transplant, and when he was recovering, he went back on the art therapy course and started doing things that were much more sophisticated compared with the real basic stuff he was capable of before. He had no idea where it was coming from. The art therapist had no idea where it was coming from. And he asked, because through various means he managed to talk to the mother of the donor, he asked her if her son liked art at all. And it turns out her son was crazy about art from a very early age. He wanted art materials rather than toys from the age of about 18 months. And doctors who have studied this connection between attributes appearing out of nowhere and personality changes in the recipient mirroring the personality of the donor, that research is now pretty extensive. People like the lady who had lungs transplanted, who was frightened of heights, and then started climbing mountains. She didn't know for a long time when she was doing this, but the lungs came from an avid mountain climber. And it's kind of, oh, this is strange. How can this be strange? How can this happen? It's because it's a computer download. The recipient organs and the energy field that goes with it are downloaded into the recipient's computer and then become available to affect the personality and to affect the abilities and attributes of the receiver. My great friend Credo Mutwa in Africa, the Zulu shaman, he told me when I called him, I talked to him about this some years ago, and he said, oh yes, he said, in Africa when they used to eat people, he said it was a golden law that the people who they were eating had to be boiled to a certain temperature and for a certain time, because the legend was that if you ate them without that being done, then you became them. You took on their personality. Now, one of the great ways that we identify with being this is I'm a man or I'm a woman. And nothing wrong with that, it's an experience. They're very different experiences. Great, fabulous, it's an illusion, enjoy it. But if we get caught in the illusion that they're who we are, suddenly we are in a place where we can get manipulated and diverted. Now, how can who we are be a man and a woman when the nature of that can be changed by chemical change? This is not, but it's a chicken indicating the story I'm going to tell. Freaky the chicken. You might have heard that story a few years ago. Freaky the chicken started out life as a hen, laying eggs, all that stuff. And then suddenly, because something happened in the chicken's body to create massive amounts of testosterone, it grew a comb, it started crowing at dawn and chasing the hens. Why? Because it had moved from being a woman, female, to a male purely by a chemical change. Because it's the computer changing, not us. I got this from BBC News recently. Scientists have been able to take control of flies' brains to make females behave just like males. Researchers genetically modified the insect so that a group of brain cells that control sexual behavior could be switched on by a pulse of light. The team was able to get female fruit flies to produce a courtship song, behavior usually only seen in males. Why? Because it's a computer program, it's software. Sometimes I get up early in the morning, in the winter, before dawn, and I sit there in the office working on the website and stuff, and then the sun starts to come up and the bird song starts. And I'm thinking, you know, is there like a conductor with a stick waiting for dawn? I'm going, cue! No! They just start singing. Just like Freaky started crowing at dawn when the testosterone came in. Because it's a body computer program. A software program. Then we talk about personalities and emotions. It's no accident, I would suggest, that so many, enormous numbers of near-death experiences tell the same story, that when they've left the body in that period, they don't feel emotion like they feel it here. They're not cold, but they don't feel that intensity of emotion that we feel. Why? Because that's a body consciousness. Software program. This is why psychiatrists and people, they say, some of them, they can break down human personalities into about 12 archetypes and combinations of them. You can't do that with infinite possibility, but you can do it with computer programs. We had that lady in Britain a few years ago who had been in institutions, in and out of them, with real manic, deep depression for 40 years. And her personality, people say, oh, she's a manic depressive. That's who she is. That's her. 40 years later, someone said, what happened about the time this started? Can you think? Did you do anything? And she said, the only thing I can think of is that I had something like 19 tooth fillings. Mercury. It was pointed out that maybe that could be a connection. She had all the mercury teeth fillings taken out, went on a mercury detox. After 40 years, manic depression, gone. Because it was a computer level of operation that was manifesting it due to a chemical imbalance. We're not even our emotions most of the time. We are consciousness, and we've forgotten, and therefore these computer programs, these software programs, take us over and we think we're them. And so instead of driving the bus, we're sitting at the back thinking we can't drive it. The brain is two halves of the brain. There's the right brain and there's the left brain, and they have very, very different roles to play, especially in personality. And between them is this bridge called the corpus callosum, which bridges the information, again, information between the two. Now this is another picture that Neil Haig did for me recently. Symbolically looking at what the right brain and the left brain do. The right brain is out there. It's creativity, it's inspiration, it's the maverick, it's the connection to all that is, it's the greater awareness. And the left brain is about structure. It sees things in parts, not as wholes. It wants things to be structured. It's about language, and it's about organization in a physical way. It's about being what we call, though often that's not what it is, rational thinking. And both sides of the brain are necessary. If you get a right brain person, we've all met them, they're fantastically creative, but they're out on another cloud. There's nothing going on down here. But you get a really imprisoned left brain person, they can't see the connection.